what we just talked through was our team's way of doing qualitative interviews. I think we have our own little flavor, so it'll be weird, keep it simple, but largely nothing groundbreaking or too out of the norm of what people do. What we're going to talk through now is our analysis approach, which is totally, totally different than what other people do. Okay. This is called practical thematic analysis. And we called it practical thematic analysis, or PTA, because we simplified and made explicit the implicit in qualitative coding. But we could have called it participatory thematic analysis because it is a structured way of infusing themes that come out of qualitative data with patient, care partner, or clinician perspectives. Okay. All right, this is the plan. And if anybody needs to pause or to chat or stop, let me know. We're going to skip this. We already did this. All right, learning objectives. Describe the key components of PTA. Identify research questions that could be answered using PTA. Demonstrate comfort with PTA style coding. All right, what is thematic analysis? People who have done this that are not Eileen. What is thematic analysis? What do you think?
Extracting themes.
Yeah. Although very serious qualitative people would take issue with your use of the word extraction.
Mm.
We won't get into that. Essentially, very serious qualitative researchers, of which I do not count myself, right? I'm an applied health services researcher. Eileen's with me in this camp. They would say that if you say you're extracting something, it's like finding something.
Or themes emerging from the data.
Or themes emerge. It's that they exist without the researcher touching them. But in reality, they are constructed by the research team, and the research team, being the instruments, bring their own perspectives, ideas, experiences, and it's much more of a constructivist process and not a positivistic process. Okay. So positivism is there is one truth, we will find it. Constructivism is truth is more complicated than that. Yeah. Okay, so Braun and Clark, the thematic analysis existed before them, but they really made it big in health services research, a flexible and powerful method of systematically generating robust findings by identifying, analyzing, and reporting patterns within the data. What is PTA? We took the 6 steps from Braun and Clark and reduced it to 3. And we have found ways to include patients, care partners, and clinicians in the process in a systematic way where they are collaborating with us as opposed to providing input after the fact. It's great for people who are new to qualitative research because we try and make things really simple. Also for clinicians, anyone who's gotten applied, let's find out and make some meaning, do some good work around here. Patients and care partners, students, anyone really. And the steps are, step 1, reading. Step 2, coding. Step 3, theming. Very simple. In the first step, reading, in PTA, we require/recommend that every person on the coding team reads the entirety of the data set, right? I've been in many meetings where the PI comes in with opinions and they have not read the damn thing, right? And so this is important to make sure that everyone's coming with the same shared understanding. You start with some discussions about data saturation. Are we starting to see repeating phenomena? Does that mean maybe we have enough data? Each of the people on the analysis team produce individual summative memos. They don't have to be long. Thoughts and reflections on the corpus of data. And then they compare memos with the team. Are people having totally different ideas? Are they sort of jiving with each other? Are they not? And you just sort of observe, right? You don't take any action there. Step 2, coding. You come back to this data saturation discussion, and then you have a couple of coders, typically 2, independently code a small sample of data. Then they come back together, compare their codes, and justify those code books. So they combine categories into multiple of codes together, they split codes, and they make sure they have the same code book. And they work towards developing a shared code book, and then they go code the remaining data, check in with the coding team for major discrepancies, and then move on to the next section. What makes a good code in PTA? This is explicit in PTA. We think that people who do very good qualitative research do this implicitly. But in PTA, we say very clearly a good code, which is a tag you put on literally words, piece of data, a sentence or two, description, and a complete thought. So here we say training is easy. Teaching your dog to respond to basic cues is easy, fun, and gives fast results. It's a good code. Training is easy. You can put a period at the end of the sentence. We've got some nomenclature in there to keep our codes organized, but the crux of it is a simple, complete thought. What makes a bad code? A category or an incomplete thought. Take a look at that second code. A marker is a signal, either a clicker or a word such as yes, that marks desired behavior the moment it occurs. How's that red code? Using a marker. Is it a complete thought? Using a marker is a sentence? Bad code. Right? You fix that by turning it into a complete thought. Using a marker helps dog understand behavior. All right, and then you bring these things together. This is sort of a messy code book. You might want to think about nesting some hierarchical labels and things in your code book. This is the Atlas TI program. PTA is like coding software agnostic. We don't care what you do. You can use highlighters. We don't care. But you're going to want to keep things pretty organized. Maybe with colors, maybe with letters, whatever. All right. Then we get to theming. Theming is the most important part of PTA and of thematic analysis writ large. It is also the part that totally gets skipped or overlooked in many, many cases. So for theming, we finalize the data saturation discussion. Okay, are we sure that there's nothing new coming out that's important here? Those two primary coders go off and develop draft thematic statements independently. These are usually 3 to 5 statements. They compare their themes with the team in something we call a thematic analysis session. In that room, the thematic analysis session is a representative of another perspective besides health services researcher. Maybe it's a clinician, maybe it's a patient, maybe it's a care partner, maybe it's 2 of those 3. Depending on what your question is, you bring those people in and you develop a shared model. And there's a systematic process for really breaking things apart and putting them back together. Then you come back and review the data again, make sure you didn't miss anything, do a little refinement, maybe send your thematic model back to participants for some advanced member checking, which is basically just making sure what you came up with makes sense to the people you talk to. What are themes? Themes are meta constructs that rise above the level of codes. They are co-constructed among the researchers and the participatory folks in the room, patients, care partners, clinicians. And because of that, we got to be really careful of team dynamics. Facilitators have to be willing to challenge big fancy people, PIs, to stop talking, to elevate the voices of patients and care partners and clinicians, and to elevate the voices of the coders that are closest to the data. And they're influenced by each person's unique perspective. What makes a good theme? This will sound familiar: a description and a complete thought. Implementing antibiotic stewardship programs is facilitated by strong institutional support. Great, full sentence, complete thought, good theme. Bad theme is a category or an incomplete thought. Have you ever read a qualitative paper and they say the themes are antibiotic stewardship and institutional support? And then you think, like, what does that mean? You got to complete the thought in order for your readers to know what you're talking about. So bad theme, feelings about antibiotic stewardship programs. You might want to split those into directionalities. You know how a little bit more about how people feel. Implementation, well, did it go well? Did it go poorly? Was it complicated by something? We don't have a lot of info. And so it ends up looking like this. Folks draft their summary memos. You develop a shared code book, go to the data, code the rest of the data, independently develop themes, and then rip them apart, put them back together into a shared model to get your final themes. And it kind of looks like this. You find areas of commonality, areas of disagreement, you discuss with the group, snaps are required, et cetera, et cetera. You can do this on Zoom. You can do this in person. And there's the 3 steps in context. In the reality, this is a little bit more iterative, but it's helpful to think about moving from step 1 through step 3. And here is 6 stages from Braun and Clark, who really popularized thematic analysis, mapped onto the 3 steps of PTA. And you'll notice in particular that the theming really combines a lot of pieces, and that's because we really wanted to highlight the importance of it and make it clear that that is a critical step. All right, key features of PTA. Everybody reads the data. Coding is both data management and early analysis. Often in qualitative coding, the coding is simply for data reduction. So like filing things, you're actually doing early analysis with those complete thoughts, complete sentences. And then the thematic analysis session is also distinguishing. Pitfalls, unexplained code books. It's going to be hard for people to be talking about apples and apples. Weak themes, inappropriate quantification. PTA, we never want to see statistics for agreement between coders. We don't care. We care about what's salient, and that comes out in the room in the thematic analysis session. Ignoring positionality, right? We need everyone to embrace who they are, where they come from, what their experiences are, what they embody, and be explicit about what that brings to their discussion and their perspective. Neglecting group dynamics, and not enough time. You report PTA just like you'd report any other type of research. We suggest using reporting guidelines like CORIC, but any will do. None of these guidelines are perfect, but it's very helpful to have a guide of what you report out, and can be a really good resource when you're publishing if you get pushback, particularly if journals don't understand law. Then you report your results. We recommend complete thought themes as headers, so people know exactly what you're saying when they look to your paper to read it, and they don't have to dig. Supported by data and context, flesh things out, example quotes, clear and simple language. Data tables can be helpful. And often in a thematic analysis session, a figure will naturally emerge to represent the thematic statements, and those can be really helpful in papers. All right, what are the 3 steps of PTA? Remember?
Coding.
Reading. Theming. Ah, yeah, good. Skip this.
Let's go, team. So proud of us.
Yay. All right. So now we can practice.
Oh, you put it in.
Yeah, I did.
Like the slides.
Here's this question again. We do have a data set pre-populated that we can use to code and practice. But before we do, does anyone have any questions?